Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Crusaders. No, it's not Friday. Brian, Michaels, and I are here on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. It depends on what day we drop this episode. We are at the halfway part of the year. We've gone through this show for 6 months now. Damn, 6 months. We've only missed one episode because Brian's internet's shitty. So we only missed one show, but we're going to do that show still, guys. We promise we're going to do the last week of June. But we are here to talk about basically a 6-month recap of the show so far. You know, what our top 10 worst stinkers are overall for the year that we've talked about so far. Because we've talked about, 26 stinkers? And then we've had 26 of your picks, 26 of my picks, 26 favorites, 26 revisited. It's a ranking show. That's basically what we're doing today. We're going to rank our top 10 worst films of both our opinions. We're going to we're going to start poking at each other. I'm going to pick Brian's 5 best movies he made me watch this year so far, and his 5 worst he's made me watch. He's going to pick my 5 best, my 5 worst, and then we're going to give our top 10 best movies we talked about on the show so far, which is going to be a mixture of our favorites and revisited. And then we've also got something special. We've actually started to keep statistics on the actors and actresses and how many times they've appeared on the show. Brian's been doing that, and he is going to unveil those during the episode today. First and foremost, we're going to start the show with probably the one category that y'all love us talking about, and that is the stinkers. We have had some doozies in this first 6 months. It's only going to get better or worse in the next 6 months. But we are going to be talking about the 10 worst stinkers so far that we've had to watch this year. I'm interested because I don't know what Brian's picks are for anything that we're talking about today. I don't even know what the actor rankings are yet because it's all on Brian's side. And he doesn't know my rankings. Brian, as a whole so far, how do you feel like the first 6 months of the show's been?
Of the show in general?
Yeah, the show in general.
You know, I've actually enjoyed it. Like I said, this is the kind of thing where it's just like, you know, gives us a chance to revisit a lot of, you know, old movies I've watched in a long time. Or in some cases, I get to watch something for the first time that, you know, you've recommended or that you picked that I haven't seen yet, or vice versa. The only downside is that stinker category, which every week we're like, why are we doing this to ourselves? But then again, it also seems to be the part that we often have the most fun talking about. In most cases, in some cases, they're just dreadfully boring.
I think for the most part, why we enjoy the stinkers so much is because we watch it together.
I
feel it's one of those things where I even said this to you when I first pitched this idea to you. It's like, first off, we were doing it because we held each other accountable that the other one was actually going to watch the stinker. But then it basically became like this Mystery Science 3000 where you and I are just collectively shitting on and making fun of these movies as we watch them, which made them more bearable to get through. Now, there are some where you and I were just like,
yeah,
you know, and stuff like that. But there were some though that we were like making fun of and having a blast doing it. So I think and there were sometimes we watched some other films that weren't the stinkers that we enjoyed watching together. I think that's why we do it. We did it to hold each other accountable, but I think now it's become like all right, what shitty movie we watching this week? I've enjoyed it. So I mean, collectively, I mean, for this first 6 months, I mean, you still feel high on the show. You kind of feel like, we got 6 more months of this.
You know, it's not that I feel like we got 6 more months of it. It's more a matter of sometimes depending on, you know, what life has in store for me, I'm like, shit, I gotta watch these 5 movies in time, you know. And sometimes it gets to be like, you know, Sunday, I'm like, we gotta film this in a day or two, and I gotta watch these 5 movies, and so it gets to be a bit of a nuisance the work you have to do. But the actual show itself, I enjoy the hell out of it. So I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like one of those things. I feel like sometimes I'm back in high school where I've like procrastinated through the week, and all of a sudden it's Sunday, and I'm like, oh shit, I have 5 movies to watch in like 48 hours because for behind the scenes for you guys, we normally shoot this show on Tuesday because YouTube likes to fuck with me, and anytime we shoot an episode that's longer than 30 minutes, which is every fucking episode, it makes me have to wait 12 hours before I can download and edit everything. So we shoot it on Tuesday so I can edit it on Wednesday or Thursday to get it out for you guys on Friday, which basically means that we have to either watch these movies in that time, which I can't because I'm editing the shit. So usually like Saturday, Sunday night, I'm like, I have to remember, oh crap, I haven't watched these 5 movies.
Every week I do that because every week we cram and then we film the show. I'm like, oh, good, I can take a couple of days off. But then it gets to be Sunday again. You're like, oh crap, I got 5 more to watch.
The problem is that you get to relax. I don't, because I'm editing these things for the next 2-3 days, and then it's like, oh crap, I got to start this all over again. So yeah, it has been tough. There have been certain weeks, especially when the lists weren't that great, where it's like, ugh. And then there are certain weeks where it's like, this is a good fucking week. I'm actually going to enjoy watching these movies.
Yeah.
But the stinkers though are definitely movies that we're either kicking and screaming our way into watching it, or we're like, okay, let's see how bad this shit really is. So the way we're going to do this is Brian's going to give his full 10, his honorable mention, and his full 10. I'm going to give my honorable mention, my full 10. And then we're going to talk about, kind of an overview of the list. We're not going to go too great in detail because, let's face it, we gave these movies plenty of time on the show already. If you want to hear about those movies, go fucking back and watch those episodes. So Brian, what is your honorable mention and top 10 worst stinkers of the Weekend Crusaders so far?
Okay, so I'm just going to say real quick, the stinkers were the ones I had the hardest time ranking because there was just a whole lot of shit, and it's hard to figure out which shit is more shittier than the other shit. It's really hard. And
I couldn't have explained that better myself.
Anytime I looked at it, I'm like, no, wait, this one was worse. And then I go, no, that one was worse. So anyway, but I had to stop at some point and lock it in. So here it is. My honorable mention for worst stinkers we had to watch. Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. First time watch for me. Yeah. Actually, a lot of these were. Number 10, Almost Heroes. Number 9, Zoolander 2. Number 8, Double Team. Number 7, Dragon Ball Evolution, which might belong higher, actually. Number 6, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Number 5, 50 Shades of Black. Number 4, Furry Vengeance. Number 3, might hurt Sean's heart, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles Through Time, whatever it's called.
It's just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, that's all it is.
And I had a hard time deciding 1 and 2, but I went 2 Speed Racer, 1 Alice in Wonderland.
So shockingly, 3 of those are not on my top 10.
Oh, really?
3
Okay.
One of them obviously is Turtles, because I don't hate it's not good, but I don't hate it. And I think you didn't name 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah. If
there's 3 of yours aren't on mine, that means you have 3
mine too, yeah. So here are my top 10 worst stinkers. And I was kind of in the same way. I got to the point where I was just like, do I hate this one more, or do I hate this one because it's boring, or because it's really fucking bad? So that's kind of where my rankings went a little bit. I'm interested. I'm intrigued by where some of yours ranked compared to mine, because I thought some of them would have been a lot higher than where yours were.
And they probably were at some point. Like I said,
I was interested in hearing that ranking, because I was like, damn, it's like he's got the same movies, but we are all over the place in terms of where they're ranked. My honorable mention is Obsessed. My number 10 is Alice in Wonderland. My number 9 is The Happening. My number 8 is Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. Number 7 is Almost Heroes. Number 6 is Land of the Lost. Number 5 is Double Team. Number 4 is Dragon Ball Evolution. Number 3 is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Number 2 is Furry Vengeance. And number 1 has not changed since we first watched it, 50 Shades of Black. This is a list. These are 2 lists that I would never wish upon anybody to watch any of these films.
The problem with ranking a list like this,
Obsessed on your list. I'm shocked.
Because Obsessed.
We were both collectively frustrated as hell with that movie.
Here's the thing: is if you know the majority of my list is movies that just is largely movies that bored the hell out of me. Because Obsessed, I mean, I at least enjoyed the movie, not for the right reasons, but enjoyed watching the movie with you. And it still had Idris Elba, and it had some positive things about it. But, so that one didn't quite make my list. My thing with making these lists is like, it's not like you can rank them like, I can't like sort them by my by Letterboxd rating or anything because they're all like, between a half star and maybe
Star,
1.5.
1.5, yeah.
So it's like you can't really rank them. So it was. I kind of was thinking a lot. I kind of basically had to think back to, okay, when I was watching it, how bored was I versus how much I at least enjoy it on some level, even if it wasn't, what they wanted, things like that. So something like, Alice in Wonderland, which was just boring and dreary as shit, was my number one.
You didn't butterwhack enough to enjoy it.
Butterwhack it. Whereas something like Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li was my honorable mention. That was one that, we at least had fun poking fun at the whole time.
See, with my list, my top 5 are movies that were collectively bad, but you and I had so much fun making fun of and poking at. And then like 6 through honorable mention were the ones that were like, we were bored watching them. Because I feel like
you use different criteria, so yeah.
Exactly. I was gonna put Robin Hood on it, but I fell asleep halfway through Rob. So I figured I probably shouldn't have this on my list if I can't even type the title without falling asleep. But 50 Shades of Black collectively is still probably the worst fucking movie out of these. That and Furry Vengeance, for the end alone, is like those and now like I said, Dragon Ball Evolution, nothing. And of course, Double Team with the whole like fuck you, we're not going to give you basketball jokes anymore when it's actually trying to fucking do basketball jokes. Or just the horrifically awful Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Those to me, that's why they're talking about my top 5. So I'm like, these are the ones by the end of the year I'm gonna remember our experience watching these. Whereas like Land of the Lost, I just fucking hate that movie. I don't think we really had fun watching that. Almost Heroes, we didn't have fun watching. Street Fighter: Legend of Chun-Li, we had fun watching. I collectively, like, there was one stinker I pointed out that I was like, should I put this on the list? And I was like, no, because we actually didn't hate this film. We actually enjoyed watching how bad it was, which was Never Back Down.
Yeah, that one was never in contention for me for this.
No,
it's not a good movie.
I saw it. I was like, no, this does not belong here on this movie. It's not good, but we had fun watching this film. And I'm surprised you didn't have The Happening.
The Happening was one of those that I enjoyed watching the movie. It was the experience of watching it, me and you just fucking shitting on the movie and making fun of it the entire time.
No. Huh?
What? No. Me? Go there? You think it's trees? What? No? So, I mean, that's a movie that, like I said, I enjoyed it for the wrong reasons, but I still enjoyed watching the movie. So I was like,
you know what I realized? We've had 2 movies with collectively the same joke, and we laughed our ass off at one, and the other one we thought was fucking stupid, and that was the thump sound. We had the thump in Love Guru, and we laughed our ass off on, and then we had the thump in 50 Shades of Black, and we thought it was fucking stupid. It's all about the delivery, guys. It's all about the delivery of the film, because it's the same damn joke, and we loved it in one, and we hated it in the other.
Well, and also one's Marlon Wayans, one's Justin Timberlake. So
no, it wasn't Marlon Wayans. It was his brother.
Oh, it was that? Yeah, okay.
It was his brother, because it was when she walked in on her sleeping with the horrifically awful roommate, the Rebel Wilson ripoff character. God, that character haunts my dreams.
I will say that for both of us, there's one movie of the Lost episode that we will see eventually. That. A very good chance this would have made our top 10 list.
The movie,
but we haven't seen it yet, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah, the stinker we didn't get to watch because of Brian's vacation. I will be shocked if it doesn't end up on the year ends list, unless we both end up just liking that film, which I don't.
No, it's going to be awful.
You and I have watched that trailer, going, "Oh my god, this is going to be bad," but it's not on the list because we didn't get to watch it.
Out of curiosity, of your top 10, 11 stinkers, how many of those had you seen before? Because I'm looking at mine. I think I'd only seen in full 2, maybe
5.
Yeah.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Double Team, Land of the Lost, The Happening, and Almost Heroes. Or no, Alice in Wonderland. Almost Heroes, I saw about half of that when I was younger. Other than that,
I had only seen
first timers.
I had only seen Speed Racer, and I think I'd seen Furry Vengeance before, but it was like so long ago, and I was only half. It's one of those movies I put on because my kids thought it looked funny, the animals being funny, and so I kind of half watched it. So I don't know if I count that one, but yeah, other than that, everything else was first time watches for me. There's a reason I avoided these movies, folks, but I watched them for you, the viewers,
and for me, and like I watched some of these shitty films for Brian because some of these were his picks; they weren't all mine. So now, anything else you want to add for the stinkers before we inevitably move on?
Yeah, no, they speak for themselves. So.
Okay. So now we're going to get to the first part of the actor rankings system. Basically, what Brian did, and I came across this, I think a couple months back, where I said it'd be funny because we had getting movies where it was like we keep getting the same fucking actors and actors pop up, and we didn't plan that. It just got to a point where we started to see a pattern. I was like, Brian, start keeping track of who are in these movies. We're gonna have like a standings list showing like maybe let's see how many times these people pop up. Because we're talking about the stinkers, we have a stinkers ranking list. Brian, what is the actor ranks for the stinker films?
Well, actually, the stinkers list is actually kind of the least interesting of the bunch because there's not really a clear winner. We have actually managed to pick a list of stinkers where no actor has been in more than 2 of them.
Is bad enough though.
There are 8 people tied for the top spot with 2 stinkers each. They include Will Ferrell, Johnny Depp, Marlon Wayans, Mike Epps, Olivia Munn, Susan Sarandon, Kate Blanchett, and Greg Grunberg. So there's your list of people who are currently in the most stinkers of the thing, but there's not in this particular category. There is no clear winner.
Gotcha. So we're basically the title for king or queen stinker is still
it's still on the line. There are still people that it could be one of these people. Somebody else could select. We've had weeks where like somebody went from like no movies to 3 movies because they're in a whole bunch one week. So you never know what's going to pop up.
Okay. Well, to stay on the worst aspect of this, we are now going to the part of the episode where we're probably going to hurt each other's feelings. We are now going to start talking about our own picks. Now, granted, I'm not picking my movies and Brian's not picking his. We're basically picking each other's. Brian picked the 5 best of my picks and the 5 worst. And I've picked the 5 best of Brian's and the 5 worst of Brian's. Because we're already on the stinker trail, we might as well go ahead and knock the worst ones out of the way. Brian, what are, in your opinion, what are your...
Okay, Chris Farley.
What are you considering my 5 worst picks so far in the first half year?
Okay, now to preface this, there's only one of these movies I actually think is a bad movie. But these are the 5 that I was least impressed with, let's say. If I were to rank all of your picks, these are the ones that came in the bottom 5. My honorable mention, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Just because... we already know this. I'm not a huge Austin Powers fan, so there's not much more to say about that. My number 5 of his worst picks, Tears of the Sun. Not a bad movie, just kind of boring. It's not. I'd seen this movie before, so I knew what I was getting into going into it, but it was just like I was largely unimpressed by it. It's kind of one of those Bruce Willis movies. I'm just like, whatever. My number 4, The Punisher. Not.
It's got Ben Foster.
It's got Ben Foster. It's got Rebecca Romaine. It's got Thomas Jane, who I really like. It's okay, but it also has John Travolta, and I really don't like him in a lot of movies, especially when he's
Travolta in that movie.
trying too hard. And the movie itself is kind of it's one of those movies like, oh, it could have been so much better, but they dropped the ball on it. Again, don't hate this movie. Just it's of the movies he picked, one of my least favorites. Number 3, Sean's gonna leave me here. The Wrestler. I know he has a very personal connection to this. He loves this movie. I'm not very interested in this movie the first time I saw it. It's got Marissa Tomei in it, so obviously, I love that. But other than that, I just don't have any interest in this movie.
I'm putting you on blast right here. You didn't fucking watch the movie, motherfucker. So you ranking this is bullshit because you didn't watch the movie.
Because I know how I felt about this movie. And it's like, oh. So,
Okay.
so if you want to call it a cheat, call it a cheat. But of the movies you picked, this is my third least favorite. There you go. Number two, again, this is Big Fish. Again, not a movie I dislike, not a movie I hate. It's a movie I was kind of like ambivalent towards. It's okay. There's some good performances. I kind of find it a little slow, a little boring. But yeah, it's not bad. I like all the people in it. The only movie that I truly hated that Sean put on his list for his picks, one of only two movies I had to watch for the first time ever from his picks, the other one being Breaking All the Rules, was Rockadoodle. Rockadoodle was such a steaming pile of shit. It may rank up there as possibly the worst animated movie I've ever seen in my life.
No, don't you go that far with it.
Can you name a worse one?
Oh, totally. Food Fight.
Food Fight.
Food Fight, Sausage Party.
I've never seen Food Fight. I don't know what that is.
You
Sausage Party? Actually, no, Sausage Party was way better than Rockadoodle. I don't love Sausage Party, but at least Rockadoodle just made me want to kill myself and maybe quit the show because I was just so bored by it. The animation's horrible. The story's horrible. The kid, you want to die. And just, yeah, it's just
You want to die.
I had avoided this movie for, 30 years? And I wish I could have avoided it for 30 more.
I totally forgot about Rockadoodle.
I did not.
I totally forgot about it. Okay, gloves are off. I'm really upset about the wrestler in Big Fish, by the way. I'm surprised Butterfly Effect was not on there because I would.
You need to take into account, though. Like I said, Rockadoodle's the only one on this list that I truly don't like.
Butterfly Effect was garbage. That should have been on your list. Let's be real here.
All
right. So my list for Brian.
I already know half of this list. Go ahead.
Yeah, you probably know everything on this list. Brian's worst films that I've had to watch this year. Of them, only 2 of them I had seen previously. Honorable mention is The Ruins. I didn't hate it, but I didn't necessarily love it. It was one of those things where I was kind of – there's ones that I have major problems with in this film. There's only one that I actively was like, I fucking hate this movie. And the other ones, there are parts that I don't like in the film, but for the most part, they're okay at best. Ruins, I had no problem with. It was just, it is what it was.
Even my opinion, after making it my pick and I rewatched it, I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Number 5 was Ravenous, and most of that is because of the horrible fucking score. Honestly, if you had taken that score off, I probably wouldn't have had this in your rankings. I would have picked something else. But that score is so atrocious that it boggles my mind how someone can enjoy the movie because of it. But other than that, I didn't hate the film. It's just the score takes you completely out of the fucking film. Number 4 is A Million Ways to Die in the West. It's just watch the episode. You guys know exactly where my thoughts are on this soapbox of a film with Seth MacFarlane. Number 3, I don't really hate, but it is a shit film, and that's Torque. I don't hate it, but goddamn, it's just a fucking ripoff of Fast and the Furious.
But it's hilarious.
It's not good.
It's not good. I will admit, it's not good.
Number 2 is a movie that I have, I think, name dropped at least 6 times on the show since we watched it, and that is the amazing hacky sack Kiefer Sutherland performance of The Vanishing.
I thought that was number 1. Now I know
it's not number 1. It's not number 1.
Okay.
Hands down, probably the worst Jeff Bridges performance I've ever seen. It's bad. It's so fucking bad. But we get Kiefer Sutherland playing hacky sack in a yellow sweater, and that almost saves it. It doesn't though. The Vanishing is a bad movie. But the number 1 movie that I just watched and I downright fucking despise and hated this film, and it's loved by so many people, and I don't get it, is fucking Raising Arizona.
Wow. I had no idea.
That fucking film. I think back on it, and I'm like, I feel like Brian hates me because he made me watch this film. It's not funny. It is borderline mentally challenged. That is how dumb this film is. Yeah, I did not enjoy a single fucking second of this film. I hated that film to the upteen back. And to have people go, this is one of the best movies of all time, you're trolls. There's no way you guys like this movie. Like, you might be like okay with it, or you might like certain aspects, but to say this is one of the best comedies is a fucking joke.
Well, I don't think it's all-time best comedy. No.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying certain people.
Yeah.
That movie's bad. That is a bad fucking movie. But yeah, so
I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Oh
okay.
God, I forgot about it, and then as I was going through our list, I was like, "Fuck that movie."
I was sure Vanishing had that lock because of how many times you name dropped it.
I name dropped it out of love for the hacky sack scene. Not for like, if I really hated it, I would have been attacking Jeff Bridges the whole time, but I don't. I always bring it back to Kiefer Sutherland hacky sack. Which is a fond memory, because when I remember watching it, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? I never thought I'd see Kiefer Sutherland play hacky sack. Not well either, by the way. But yes. But now we finally have gotten through all the stinker stuff. We're mildly hurt. We're mildly injured. But now we're gonna go on to praising. Brian's going to say what his 5 favorite films of mine were in a loving manner.
Okay, now like I said, the only 2 movies that you picked the whole time that I hadn't seen were Breaking All the Rules, which is not on either list, and Rockadoodle. So these are all movies I had seen before, but of the ones he picked, these are the ones I enjoyed the most and was happy he picked so I could watch them again. Honorable mention goes to Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is it's a beautifully animated film. It's got a lot of great humor to it. It's got some heart to it. It's a movie I haven't watched in quite a long time, so I was glad I got another chance to watch that one. My number 5 will actually surprise a lot of people. It is The Mummy. I rail against The Mummy sometimes. I still think it's got some bad special effects in it. I still think it's a sad Indiana Jones knockoff with just some slapstick humor added to it. But it's actually a fun movie. It has its own tone. It kind of found its place, where it's kind of this, it is this, action serial kind of thing, but it does have this sense of humor about it. And the second one I thought wasn't as good, and then the third one was crap.
You can't shit on a movie that you collectively quote all the time to your kids whenever you're at a river.
You can't. I actually got my kid actually say it. We were actually on vacation, and we were somewhere by, and she went, "The wrong side of the river." So the Mummy, I actually do enjoy it. It's just I think it gets overpraised by people sometimes. But so I was happy to watch that again. Number 3, I'm sorry, that was number 5. Number 4 is one of the movies that I think Sean and I both think gets underrated, and that is Terminator Salvation. Terminator Salvation, again, it's got some things in it that it's not a perfect film by any means, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a solid entry in this franchise, and I think it should have a better reputation. Number 3, Liar Liar. Liar Liar is a movie I have not watched in a long time. Because for me, that's that Jim Carrey era where a little bit of Jim Carrey goes a long way. And so I've kind of avoided revisiting a lot of those movies, but I'm glad I did because I watched this one and remembered just how much I actually did enjoy this one. Number 2, The Girl Next Door, because Alicia Cuthbert. I could say more, but really that's all I need to say. I will say Timothy Olyphant, but mostly Alicia Cuthbert. The movie's funny, yeah, whatever, but it's also got Alicia Cuthbert. So. And number 1 of his picks, X-Men 2, I think is still one of the best of the franchise. So I was very happy to watch that one again. Again, one that I hadn't revisited in a long time, so it gave me an excuse to watch it, and I remember just how much I enjoyed it.
Honestly, out of all those are like, yeah, I expected that. I did not expect you to say Terminator Salvation.
Really?
I did not expect that. Like when you said that, I was like, oh, damn, okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that one. Like all the others, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see him saying that. And then that one, I was like, shit, all right. All right then, cool. Mine for Brian's best films I had to watch this year. I've seen all of these except for one. I remember from a young age a certain part of the film. I didn't remember the whole thing. Other than that, all of these are ones I had seen and liked previously. So this is a very easy list for me to make. My honorable mention is 300 Rise of an Empire. If you guys have to ask why I like that movie, just remember one scene in the film with Ava Green, and there's your answer right there. Number 5, This Is the End. I mean, come on. How is this not in your top 5? It's fucking hilarious. Number 4, Indian Summer. That is one that it's just a pleasant film. Great cast, just an enjoyable film. I remembered the end credits as a kid, which I don't know why I remember the end credits and not the rest of the fucking film, but I remember that song in the end credits. And I enjoyed watching that. Like, that was one of those movies I think I was watching. I put it on like right before bed. And I expected like maybe watch like 30 minutes of it and then fall asleep and watch it. And I stayed up and I watched that whole damn thing. And it made me miss Bill Paxton.
Yeah,
that's where I went. It made me miss Bill Paxton. Number 3 was a movie that I hadn't seen, I think, since it came out. And when we picked it, I was like, I remember liking this. And then I watched it. I was like, I fucking love this movie, and that is Fired Up.
Yeah,
I love Fired Up. That movie was so much fucking fun to go back and revisit. I love Eric Christian Olsen, and the banter between the two leads is great. I enjoyed that one immensely. And then the top 2 are safe gimmies, like they're obvious picks. But I mean, Brian picked them, so I'm not going to say no. Number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. And I even said it on the episode that I started to kind of have a negative feeling towards Mad Max Fury Road because I was so tired of how everyone blows it out of proportion of being like one of the best action films of all time, to the point where I was kind of getting annoyed, and to the point where I started to get a stigma of hating the film. And then I rewatched it and I was like, no, it deserves all that praise. It's pretty fucking great. Because I hadn't watched it, I think, since it came out. So I'm glad I had to go back and rewatch that because it made me appreciate the film more. Number 1's a cheat, because this was totally going to be my pick that week, but I went with something else because of trivia related stuff. So naturally, it's my number 1, and it's fucking Kung Fu Panda. It's still one of my favorite animated films of all time, and we spoke ad nauseum about it on the show. I fucking love that film. I even went back and watched 2 and 3 I think the week after we did the show, because I was like, I have to finish the trilogy. I love that film so much. But yes, Kung Fu Panda is definitely my number 1 of your picks, which technically was my pick, but yeah, it was yours. Now that we got the pleasantries out of the way, we're going to go back to the actor rankings. Brian, what is the actor ranks list for positive rated films?
So positive films being any category except for stinkers. So it could be his choice, my choice, revisited, or featured. There is one actor who was in 5 positive movies that we picked. Can you guess who that actor is?
I want to say it's Brendan Fraser because he seems to pop up a lot.
But then he had like Furry Vengeance and things in there. So.
I know, but he's in so many. There's another person, but I don't think they've been in 5. Crap! If it's not Brendan Fraser, then I'm as soon as you say it, I'm like, oh fuck, of course. But
the one person who's been in 5 of our positive picks is Mr. Seth Green.
Oh,
Seth Green was in Austin Powers: Spy Who Shagged Me, Italian Job, Josie and the Pussycats, which is a little bit of a cheat. He's kind of a small cameo role in that. Can't Hardly Wait, and Idle Hands. So that's a great run of movies right there, just saying.
Yeah.
Beyond him, there are I think 7 people that have been in 4 positive picks each. Those being Ving Rhames, Bill Paxton, Hugh Jackman, Jay Baruchel, Marissa Tomei, Samuel L. Jackson, and Jason Segel.
So we have a clear leader right now in the positives with Seth Green at 5. And then we have basically a 7-way tie for number 2 with 4.
I believe 7-way tie for 2. And I will say, I glanced at the rest of our currently scheduled. Things could change. Currently scheduled things. I don't think Seth has another one, so he could get passed up. We'll see.
What is Fraser? Is Fraser not at 4? Is he only at 3?
He has only had 3 positives and then 1 stinker.
Oh, damn. So he's at 4 total.
He's at 4 total, yes.
Gotcha. All right, so now we are going to go to our best films overall that we have talked about this year. Now, this list is going to be just from the revisited and the feature categories. Obviously, my picks and Brian's picks, we had its own separate little group. So this is our top 10 choices between the revisited and the feature. Not all the revisiteds were happy go-backs. Some of them were not good at all. They probably could have been in the sneaker pile. But for the most part, the features, we love all the feature ones for the most part. So this is a list of where Brian's favorites and my favorites come into play. Brian, what was your top 10 or 11, counting the honorable mention, best movies that we have talked about on the show so far?
This was another tough one because a lot of the feature, some of the featured ones were like,
it was really tough making this list.
Because for a lot of the featured ones, it was like, okay, this is just like, it's a super popular movie. We should talk about this. But a lot of them were just movies like, oh, you like it too? Okay, yeah, we're talking about that one. That's our featured. So there's a lot of that. So again, there's a lot of movies that, all of them would rank very highly for me, but had to make them a rank. So here we go. My honorable mention is Troy. My number 10, Fifth Element. My number 9, not everybody loves this movie, The Big Hit. I just love that movie. It's so much fun. Number 8, She's Out of My League. Number 7, Edge of Tomorrow. 6, Kung Fu Panda. Wait, that was
No.
That was my pick. That was my pick. Okay, ignore that line.
You can't tell us to the stamp.
Ignore that and pretend that says X-Men Days of Future Past. There you go. Number 5, Lethal Weapon. Number 4, Top Gun. Number 3, Gross Point Blank. Number 2, Kick-Ass. Number 1, we teased it for months before we talked about it. Can't Hardly Wait.
Wow, we have 7 that are not on the same wavelength.
Really? Wow.
7. Now, granted, everything that you said I liked, I enjoyed. But yeah, no, we had a... And then what's funny is that even the ones that you said, we are like reversed. Like you have them high and I have them low, or vice versa. So this is going to be a greatly exaggerated, like different thing. My top 10/11 best movies of the year so far that we have talked about. My honorable mention is your number 1, Can't Hardly Wait.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. We're done.
Number
Nothing.
10. My number 10 is 10 Things I Hate About You. Number 9 is Chicago. Number 8 is Varsity Blues. Number 7 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 6 is Kick-Ass. Number 5 is Chaplin. Number 4 is I Love You, Man. Number 3 is Troy. Number 2 is Fifth Element. And number 1, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like I said, both great lists. I have nothing against any of the anything on your list. I know you're mad about Can't Hardly Wait being an honorable mention.
Honestly, Avengers: Age of Ultron could be on my list, but I think that was as high as like number 3 and as low as off the list. And I actually probably should have shoved that instead of X-Men Days of Future Past, but that one was definitely in contention.
Yeah, I think I changed my list like at least 5 times. The only thing that really stayed put was Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Fifth Element, and Troy. Those were locked in at the top 3. And like everything else, like Avengers: Age of Ultron was not on the list. Then it was 5. And I was like, that's too high. And then I was like, I'm just going to put it at 7. Like Kick-Ass was like 10. And then it moved up. Of all these, the only one that I had not seen previously before the show was Chaplin.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you have that high on your list. Not that I think it's wrong. I'm surprised.
I really enjoyed it. It was like I said when that was like our first episode. We talked about Chaplin, and I was just really impressed with Robert Downey's performance in that movie. I really like, and then Kevin Kline's performance in that film. I'm surprised he's not on the fucking ranking. Kevin Kline. That's what I would have guessed was Kevin Kline because we talked about him ad nauseum on the show.
Kevin Kline has three movies.
Ah, damn! I was hoping he was actually up there with 5.
Year's not over yet. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll find out.
It doesn't help that he pretty much stopped acting.
I'm pretty sure I 100% know he's got at least one more movie we're talking about this year. So he definitely will get 4. But yeah, this list, I love all these movies. Like I was shocked when Can't Hardly Wait was an honorable mention. And it got to the point where it almost didn't make the list. I was like, no, it needs to be on the list or Brian's going to no longer be my co-host. The shocker for me was Chicago, but like rewatching it just made me appreciate the performances a lot more. Everything else, like Avengers of Age of Ultron, I think us rewatching that again prior to obviously the WandaVision and everything made it even stronger of a pick. I probably would, if you had asked me what the 10 best movies were before rewatching these, Kick-Ass definitely would not have been on that list. Going back and rewatching Kick-Ass made me kind of appreciate it more, especially after going back afterwards and watching the sequel and how disappointing that was. It just makes Kick-Ass that much more of a stronger film. Troy's fucking great. I don't care what anyone says. I don't understand why people don't like Troy. Troy's great. Fifth Element, obviously, I Love You, Man. All those are all great movies. Yeah, that's like I said, I enjoyed all these films. I enjoyed the movies that you picked too. I was surprised that we were so but that's the thing. We had 20, no, not even 26. We had 52 movies to choose from on this list. So I mean, I guess I'm shocked that we had so many different, but I'm also not, because like that'd be weird if out of 52 movies we had like the same fucking 10, kind of like The Stinker. But yeah, those are all great movies. There were some revisited that weren't good, and there was, I think, maybe one feature that going back and rewatching, I was like, I'm not liking this movie as much as I used to, kind of thing. But yeah, those are both pretty solid lists. Anything you want to add to the best movies?
No, like I said, they're 2 solid lists, and I was looking forward the other day at kind of what we have tentatively planned for the rest of the year, and there's another interesting mix in there. Like you said, there's a lot of great movies that I'm sure are going to displace half of this list, if not more. But then there's also a lot of them like, this could go either way. It's a lot of the revisited stuff. So
I do know that there's a movie, I think in August, that's definitely going to top our list in one of these categories by the end of the year.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Is it August or September? I think it's August.
I want to say August. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out on that. And then we're going to finish the episode with our MVP of the year, of the half year so far. Who is our most valuable actor / actress of the Weekend Crusaders so far?
Well, to be anticlimactic, it is still Seth Green. Only 2 people have been in 5 movies that we've watched, and that is Seth Green and Ving Rhames. Ving also has 5, although one of his was a stinker. Which one was that is the question. That must have been. Oh, he had a brief role in Stop My Mom Will Shoot. That's it.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
So that's what kept him from being MVP, because they're both in 5. And then after that, we have a 12-way tie of people that are in 4 movies, which are mostly the same ones I listed to before, but also Brendan Fraser, Ewan McGregor, Fred Willard, Mia Jovovich, Stephen Root has popped in a lot of stuff, and Will Ferrell. Although Will Ferrell is only going 50% because he's in 2 positive, 2 stinkers, so he's not doing too well so far.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked Kevin Kline is not in that group, because
he's got 3 movies total, but no stinkers. So that's
something. I mean he's 100%. He just needs more. He needs more at bats to get the rankings. But that is our half year review of the Weekend Crusaders so far. We're 6 months in. We got 6 more months to go till the end of the first year of this show. We got so many more movies to talk about between Brian and myself. Like I said, we also have the mystery week that ended June that we still haven't talked about yet, which we did not put in this group, but we will talk about it at one point. It's just a weird week. It's not going to count for the second half of the year, but it will count for the first half. But since we didn't watch them, well, I watched them. Brian didn't watch them. They weren't put in our rankings, but we hope you guys have enjoyed these first 6 months of the Weekend Crusaders on this journey that Brian and I have gone down. I don't think that when we started this show, we would have. I mean, I knew we would have enjoyed it because it's Brian and I talking about movies. We love talking about movies. It got to the point where Brian and I were talking every night about movies for long periods of time. So like, why don't we fucking do a show? And here we are 6 months in, and we're doing a half year review of the show. There's been ups and downs on certain movies, and I cannot wait to see what the next 6 months bring in store. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel. Leave comments. What did you guys of the Weekend Crusaders episodes? What were your favorite movies that we've talked about? What were your favorite moments of our show so far? Was it me freaking out over Ravenous and the music, or the vanishing hacky sack, or
Sean using his pick to rant against It Follows?
I was gonna say, or was it me choosing my pick to be a hate pick of It Follows, where I lose my fucking mind and Brian's like, okay. Let us know what you guys have liked about the show, what you guys would like to see change, things different. Feel free to let us know. We got 5 more movies coming out this weekend that Brian and I will be back on Friday talking about, because we love doing this show and we're going to keep doing it. And we hope you guys keep tuning in. We also have reviews for Black Widow and Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Both those reviews will be out this weekend as well. Don't forget to check out the 5 reviews that have been posted in the past couple days of all the movies that came out this past weekend, as well as our half-year review of the movies that have come out so far in 2021. I'm Sean Wadskrug. This is Brian Michaels. We are the Weekend Crusaders. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Weekend Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.